Yo, what is going on, everybody, and welcome to the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. I'm your host, Serg Vicente, and this is episode 267, Morning Coffee and Fight News, man. How you guys doing? I'm your host, Serg Vicente. We have a great show for you guys today. On today's menu, we're going to go ahead and break down everything that we saw with UFC 258, man. KAMARU Usman, the king. The king has returned. KAMARU Usman went out there and put on an absolute show against Gilbert Burns. We'll discuss that. We'll talk about the rest of the card, what is going on with Maycee Barber. Is KELVIN GASTELUM actually here to stay? Is he back in title contention? And we're going to talk about the retirement of one of the more fun athletes in the last, I would say, decade. Really, he's one of the most fun. I will talk about that as well, man. But let's go ahead and jump on into it, man. Everybody, I hope you guys are doing great. Everyone who's watching on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, thank you guys as always for watching the Fight Podcast, man. I always appreciate you guys. You know we're going to try to bring you guys as much heat as we can. Check out our show this week, man. We have the amazing Phoenix Carnivale coming on later on this week on the Fight Podcast. Actually, it'll be on the show tomorrow. So check that out. We're going to talk about this fight card, MMA media, all kinds of good shit, man. So we'll talk about that this week. So make sure you keep your eyes and ears open for that as well. All right. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. Hope you guys are having an amazing Monday. You know how we get down. Morning coffee and fight news. So let me get a little sip of it, you dig? All right, there we go. All right, let's get into it, man. This weekend we had UFC 258, and it was with KAMARU Usman defending his title against the man, Gilbert Burns. Yo, this fight was everything that I could have hoped for and more. And the reason that I say that is this: he's one of those dudes, man. On paper, this was an amazing fight. I think everyone really knew that going into it. This is a great fight on paper. Over 200 rounds. There were former teammates, over 200 rounds of sparring. We saw that, we knew it, and we expected a great matchup. I'm not going to stunt. I thought that Gilbert Burns' familiarity, I thought that his speed, his power, his explosion, and remember, he's 5-0 from moving up to welterweight. Knocked out Damian Maia. Nobody's done that. Just absolutely fucking ragdolls Tyron Woodley. Nobody does that except for KAMARU Usman. And so when I see this happening, and again, this is how we pick these fights, man. We don't all know it's MMA. I mean, everybody gets touched, right? So I'm taking all of those different components and I'm putting together a formula in my head and why this individual is going to win or not win. So this is one of those fights that I didn't also know what was going to be the real component on, like, the adjustments that KAMARU Usman was actually going to make with Trevor Whitman in Colorado. So when you put all these things into account, man, the fight starts and Gilbert Burns goes out there and starts putting it on his ass. He literally went out there just like I thought he was, throwing bombs to the point that he rocked KAMARU Usman. KAMARU Usman staggers, he gets up. It really reminded me of, and if you guys go back and think of it, it was UFC Fox 1, and it was Cain Velasquez and JDS. It is a very, very similar sequence. Early in the fight, both fighters are still, kind of cold. Big overhand right to the top, kind of clips Cain Velasquez behind the ear. He drops down all fours. He ends up getting finished by JDS. It was so fucking similar of a sequence, but credit to KAMARU Usman, and I swear the African brother's chin has to be made of vibranium. I swear it has to be, man. Shout out to King T'Challa. He went out there, and I am telling you, man, took Gilbert Burns' best shots. Not only did he take a couple big punches, he took a few huge knees in the process as well. And was able to withstand the early storm. And not only was he able to withstand the storm, he was able to start attacking. And this is one of the things that I really, dude, I'm blown away. I think everyone could agree. First round has to go to KAMARU Usman. Gilbert Burns. It has to go to Gilbert Burns the first round. And one thing that I really found was interesting, especially watching it, how KAMARU Usman is amazing as he is as a grappler, wanted absolutely nothing to do with should I say Gilbert Burns' ground game. Gilbert Burns was on the ground and just inviting him in. Come on, fucking come on. And his ass wouldn't do it. He wouldn't bite. And I'm assuming it's because of those 200 rounds. And that means somebody actually understands what it is to be down there with Gilbert Burns, multiple-time world champion jiu-jitsu player himself. So we watch this fight go down. He gets down there, second round. KAMARU Usman ends up really starting to turn it on. And one thing that really stood out to me over everything else was the jab. George St. Pierre, piston-like fucking jab. And hey, guys, let's keep it a bean. He trained with Trevor Whitman on this fight card. Trevor Whitman was one of the team with George St. Pierre. He understands that type of striking as well, man. So to watch KAMARU Usman go out there and truly evolve, and this is what we're seeing. We're seeing a champion that has tied some of the greats in terms of he has a 13 wins in a row, and I'll talk about how historically that means in a moment. But we have him go out there. And he's still evolving. He's the best fighter at 170, and he's still evolving. His jab was phenomenal. And the thing that really stood out aside from the jab was a pull counter. The pull counter was the first shot that really affected Gilbert Burns. And for those who do not know, pull counter is a strike that Floyd Mayweather really makes popular. People really know Floyd. When Floyd kind of sits there in front, he baits you in with his head. Adesanya does this as well. He baits you in, you make the strike, he pulls his head back and fires back with that right hand. Floyd Mayweather was amazing at it. Israel Adesanya also was amazing at it. And this is something that I have not seen KAMARU Usman do to this point in time. And this motherfucker went out there and did it to a T and knocked Gilbert Burns' face completely off. I'm telling you, he hits this dude and Gilbert. And here's the thing, man. KAMARU Usman with all those muscles, I've never looked at him as somebody with one punch knockout power. And it seems like he's starting to be able to put it together. The stance switching, to be able to catch somebody on that half beat while switching stances. He was able to catch the timing of Gilbert Burns while switching stances. And this is something that he has not done throughout his career. So again, we're watching a fighter really evolve. He hurt Gilbert Burns really bad in that second round. Third round, 38 seconds in, fight's over. Amazing ground and pound. And real quick before I really continue, blowing KAMARU Usman, well deserved. One thing we have to sit back and really respect though is dude, Gilbert Burns came ready to play. He came in here, he was fully prepared. And one thing that we talked about a little bit beforehand, and I know we talked about it, and I see my man's in the comments with the guru, B-Cam. He and I discussed this a little bit on our episode. If you haven't had an opportunity to check it out, it lives on YouTube, episode 266 of the Fight Podcast. But one of the things, like I said, that he did is that Gilbert Burns, I would say, he's faster than Usman. He had better striking and better jiu-jitsu than Usman. And what do Usman, though, the best attribute that Usman has over anything else, because everything else is pretty close. The biggest attribute was it's not just his fight IQ, it's his emotions. He is a stone cold fucking killer. He goes out there and he's one of those guys that no matter what he does, he doesn't get overly emotional. We saw it with the Jorge Masvidal fight. He had a game plan. He stuck to his game plan. He did the exact same thing with Gilbert Burns. And that's one of the things for me I really look for is a champion is someone who really has to go through adversity. Goes through adversity. And he did. He got rocked. He got dropped. He was staggered. He's moving around. He was able to survive and then keep the fucking party going. You gotta love it. You gotta love what he did, man. He is a legitimate champion. I am such a fan of what KAMARU Usman did. And now let's talk about him historically real quick. We got the guru checking in. What did he say? He said the fight changed when Usman landed that bomb on Burns' chest. And what I was thinking, it was the second round. I think you're right. I think that is one of the things that when he hit him, I don't know if that, but you saw it, a look in Burns' face. He didn't look as confident, like, ooh, I didn't expect to see that. So, Guru got that on that one, man. I appreciate you, my brother. But yeah, guys, Anthony, my brother, you said hit it on the head as well, man. That jab, that was one of the most sophisticated jabs that I have seen in MMA. The only other person that I could really sit there and say really used a jab in that manner had to be George St. Pierre. And speaking of George St. Pierre, I'm getting a lot of people sitting there saying that Usman is the GOAT now. It's George St. Pierre. Is it actually? Before I talk about him being the GOAT, let's talk about this after the fight, because I want to see what's happening next. He goes out there, gets the finish, and he pretty much cuts an ad and leaves everybody with this. So let's go ahead and pull up this little video. What the man had to say.
They tried to make that fight, but he kept backing out. The only reason this man took the fight is because it was on 6 days' notice, and he had a built-in excuse. And he's still running his mouth, talking about he broke my nose and stepping in on 6 days. Give you 3 weeks, he's going to do something. Guess what? It's not done. I'll give you a whole training camp. I guarantee you won't sign on that dotted line, because this time I'm going to finish your ass.
That's the fight you want next, or another fight with Jorge Masvidal.
Any one of these fools can get it. Any one of them. But he keeps running his mouth. If he's going to talk, step in here and you got to see me.
Ooh, that nigga got the eye of the Black Panther. Oh, I love that. He called out Jorge, and honestly, at first I was like, yo, you're giving Jorge a gift. Why would you call this man out after you're giving him a gift? But think about it. We're gonna talk a little business. I mean, at the end of the day, my man went out here, he had over 1 million pay-per-view buys when he did face against Jorge Masvidal on 6 days' notice. That is a fight that he truly believes that he could win. Think about it. He only threw, or should I say landed, something like 21 strikes in the entire fight. Just dominated positioning in that fight. Was it the most entertaining fight in the world? No, he doesn't. But at the end of the day... Yo, man, people be asking wild shit. I'll bring this one up in a minute. But I mean... Think about it. He can go out here and with his advanced striking, with his grappling, I'll be very honest with you guys. I don't know who beats KAMARU Usman. Let's bring up some of the people that he's actually competed against in a little bit. So should he fight this one? The sources are telling us that this possibly will be the matchup, or should I say the coaches for TUF. I know that they were looking to do Masvidal versus Colby Covington. It would have been a fucking MAGA Bowl. But it seems as if what they're looking to do, they're looking to end up getting KAMARU Usman versus Jorge Masvidal for that. I think it'll be amazing business-wise. They're bringing TUF back. Bring TUF back. Bring the BMF champ versus the actual baddest man at 170. I think it's compelling. They can't stand each other. It'll be beautiful, and I think it'll be a great pay-per-view whenever. It'll sell to probably about 2 million, between 1.5 and probably about 2.5 if they do it, especially if you build it enough, because he's truly becoming an all-time great. Real quick, I had to bring this up before we have to move on. A couple different stats. Longest win streaks in the UFC. Anderson Silva had 16 wins in a row before he ended up taking that L. KAMARU Usman is number 2 already on that list, tied with Max Holloway, Demetrius Johnson, John Jones, Khabib, and GSP. Think about that. This early in this man's career, he is already in this history. But Mike Bohan of MMA Fighting put up a great point, and I wanted to read this tweet to you guys because everybody's starting to break down and say that, oh, is he better than George? He's better than George. I'll say this, okay? And I have to tell everybody, oh, let's pump the brakes. And I'm going to read this tweet from you guys. KAMARU Usman is great, but the idea that he has surpassed George St. Pierre as the welterweight GOAT is wildly premature. Usman, 13-fight win streak, 4 title wins, 3 title defenses. St. Pierre, 12-fight win streak, 11 title fight wins, and 9 title defenses. So check it out. Is it close? He's gaining on him, and I truly believe that he's building his own legacy. Straight up, he's absolutely building his own legacy. Is he the GOAT? When it's all said and done, possibly. But think about this. The fact that George St. Pierre defended his chip 9 times, 11 title fights, that means he's fighting the best of the best. Now, let's look at who KAMARU Usman has beat up recently. Let's just talk about it. He has on his resume Gilbert Burns, Kobe Covington, Jorge Masvidal, Leon Edwards. He literally has beaten or should I say 4 out of the top 5 guys in the weight class. Yo, he is already close to cleaning out the weight class. The only one waiting for is Wonder Boy. And stylistically, that's a terrible matchup for Wonder Boy. I really believe that's a really bad matchup for Wonder Boy. But Wonder Boy, or Wonder Man, whatever the fuck you want to call him, that's like 40 years old now. Just came off a great win. And even though he's injured right now, I'm really curious to see what's happening next. But look, all in all, I'm not taking shit away from KAMARU Usman. The dude is an absolute monster. Monster. I love what I saw from him. And I'm gonna keep it a bean with you guys like I always do. I do not see anybody beating him at this point in time. I don't see anybody at 170 beating him. And I'll be honest with you guys. Do you want to know who beats Usman? Only person that beats Usman at this point in time is somebody that we don't know who's not in the UFC yet. That's the only person at this point in time that could beat Buddy. But at the end of the day, I love what I'm seeing. Salute to the king. A couple of things, man. Africa, stand the fuck up. Africa's kicking ass right now. I mean, we have their record is some crazy shit like between Usman, Adesanya, and Francis. Their combined record is something like 58 and like 3 or something. And it's incredible we're seeing coming out of that nation, man. I love it. All right, moving right along. Yo, hope you guys are doing well. Everybody who is chiming in and watching live on Facebook, on Twitch, and on YouTube, man, thank you guys so much as always for checking us out. A whole lot more show to go, man. Tell everybody to subscribe. Listen everywhere podcasting is available. Google, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher. Check us out at thefightpodcast.com. Listen, like, subscribe, share, let everybody know. All right, let's talk about the rest of this card. The rest of this card was a good card, man. I think it actually was I'm gonna keep it a bean. This was a surprisingly good card because I told everybody it was gonna be ass. The matchups to me, the fact that we have Macy Barber and Alexa Grasso being your co-main event shows you the level of how good this card was. But you know what, man? It was a surprisingly really entertaining card. I love it. I love what I saw. But let's bring this up. Alexa Grasso goes out there and defeats Macy Barber via unanimous decision, 29-28 on one card, 30-27 on 2 other ones. I had Macy Barber winning this. I had Macy Barber before this fight picked to win. She was definitely coming off of an injury, but I believed in her potential. And she's still very young. She's only 22 years old, so I still really do believe in her potential. But, yo, there's something about a person that sits there and when she's coming, she's so young, and she's like, I'm going to be the youngest champ in UFC history. You love it. You love it when you see it. You love that energy, right? Think about it. Sugar Sean O'Malley had the exact same energy. Got his ass beat up. She comes out here, does the exact same thing against Roxanne Modafferi. Roxanne Modafferi beat her up. Ended up tearing her knee up as well. But Roxanne Modafferi was winning that fight from pillar to post. Oh, shit. Nigga, I'm dropping my motherfucking mic and shit. Don't do that. Alexa Grasso, though, went out there and was the number 15 ranked fighter at 125, women's flyweight. Absolutely dominated this fight. She was cutting angles. She was utilizing her jab beautifully. She is more of a finesse fighter, but she was able to use her strengths. Beat her in the striking. Was taken down a couple times, but there was nothing that really happened. Macy Barber rallied a lot in the 3rd round, but it was too little too late. Amazing performance from Alexa Grasso. She'll probably jump into the top 10 with that performance, which I'm really happy about. But let's talk about Macy Barber for a second. I can't lie, I'm disappointed. I'm real disappointed, actually. To come out there and lay an egg for the most part, it's a bad look. She has a great team. I mean, shit. Muhammad Bilal was on her team, and he had a great performance. We'll talk about him in a sec. But she goes out here, and it just doesn't have the aggression. There wasn't the same type of intelligent game planning at least, or it seems like she's just not thinking in there. She goes out there, she blows the fucking doors off of women that aren't that great, but when it gets in there to the people that have a little bit of technique, she's stopped in her tracks. I think she's a case of, again, she was a hype train. She's young. I'm not going to bury her ass already, but she needs to really take a couple of things into account. I think she needs to be in a little bit better shape. I think her conditioning needs to be better. I think her footwork needs to be better. I think she needs to also straighten her shots out. The biggest reason, the biggest component, the reason why KAMARU Usman was able to beat Gilbert Burns is because KAMARU Usman does a far better job of throwing straight punches. He throws directly down the pipe, that jab, that right hand. Gilbert Burns, a lot of looping punches. If they hit you, you're fucked. But at the end of the day, it's not, as effective as a straight punch. A straight punch is going to be the looping punch all the time. As we saw in the third round, she was coming downhill, throwing big loops. It doesn't do anything if you're not going to actually land on the target. If the fight was 5 rounds, will I think something would happen differently? We don't know, but I honestly don't think so. I hope we have more from her, but she's all the way in the back of the top 15. Her defeating John Jones in terms of the fastest to get a title, it's like 23 years old with a couple of weeks or whatever. She's not going to get that, guys. And I'll be honest with you, as long as Valentina Shevchenko is in that weight class, women's flyweight, her ass ain't coming nowhere near that motherfucking title. Shit, nobody is. Fuck out of here. All right. Last one I really want to talk about on this fight card, we got to talk about Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum goes out there and beats Ian Heinisch. And did it really, in my opinion, pretty dominant performance. A lot of people had Heinisch going out here winning this fight. Kelvin Gastelum had 3 L's in a row. Let's chill out, remember who he's lost to. But he has 3 losses in a row, and this was really a gut check moment. People, Kelvin Gastelum's only 29 years old. I remember Kelvin Gastelum fighting Tyron Woodley in Atlanta. He fought Tyron Woodley in Atlanta before Tyron Woodley fought Robbie Lawler for the title. Bro, that shit was like a decade ago. I know. I was there. In the Phillips Arena, they had the stadium. I couldn't afford that shit. I was outside at the little Buffalo Wild Wings around the corner. It was a good ass time. But at the end of the day, like I said, he has been in the game forever and he's not even 30 years old yet. If he wants it, he's with a great team down there. Down here, where all the racist people are in LA. What the fuck is that shit called? Huntington Beach. Oh, he's down there with their asses and shit. And so he has a long way to go. He's a gritty dude. He's been there with some of the best of the best. He's beaten Michael Bisping. He fought Israel Adesanya to one of the fights of the year. I mean, this guy has been in here with everybody. So I really love to see him back in the winning circle. He's going to need one more big win, though, to end up getting back in that title contention category. But at the end of the day, salute to him. And also, before we move on with this card, bruh, salute to Chicago's very own, Chicago's finest, Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad went out there and beat Diego Lima. Diego Lima is Douglas Lima's brother. Went out there and looked amazing doing it. And I'm telling you, man, Bilal Muhammad is getting to a point in time that he is going to have to be someone that has to be reckoned with and accounted for at $170. Okay? He is talented. He's gritty. He's willing to dig deep and whoop your ass. I love everything I saw from Bilal Muhammad. He can grapple. He can strike. He can kickbox. He's, again, one of Chicago's finest. Trains up there with Put the Guns Down Taylor and the rest of the guys. My brother Shoney Carter and everybody out there. He trains with my old team, guys. He's out there. I love it. I love what I'm seeing from the man out there. Other big standouts from the card, Anthony Hernandez. Fluffy Anthony Hernandez goes out there and beats Rodolfo Vieira via submission. Bro, this shit is impressive, okay? And I want to talk about how impressive this is. This is impressive because this guy is a multiple-time jiu-jitsu world champion, and he ended up getting submitted. This is a big deal. And it's a big deal for a couple different reasons. One, Fluffy is like a fucking blue belt. Okay, that's the first thing, and he submitted a world champion. The second thing about it is that he was able to go out there and submit this guy in a brawl. They went out there, he fought him. Let's talk about this. Vieira has the same credentials essentially as Fabricio Verdum, as Jacare Souza, as Gilbert Burns. None of those guys have ever been submitted in their MMA career. Fluffy was able to submit Buddy. So keep that shit in mind, man. Amazing performance by him. I can't wait to see. Remember, he is a former LFA champion at 185. So the dude has legit fucking skills, man. He first saw him on the Dana White 2s in that Contender Series, and now he's out here beating a legitimate guy. He was the biggest underdog on the card, and amazing performance. Dude is legit as fuck, and I can't wait to see it, man. All right. Last, but you know what? I'm looking at what we got, man. Last but certainly not least, man. But that's all we got for UFC 258. Amazing fight card. Fucking salute to KAMARU Usman, the king of Wakanda. He did his damn thing. And also, last but certainly not least, man, let's talk about Stefan Struve. Stefan the Skyscraper Struve. One of the most fun athletes in the last decade. Heavyweight. He retired today. Put out a tweet this morning. It was super long. I'm definitely not going to read all that shit. But he retires. He's somebody that has had some great wins in his career. Never, I think, really lived up to his potential. Kickboxing, guy. 7 feet tall. That's why they call him the skyscraper Dutch. But he never really utilized his height to the manner that he probably should have. There's no way a 7-footer should be getting clapped like he did, and he did it. But let's bring up his stats real quick. And let's not forget, the motherfucker did knock out Stipe Miocic. The only, you know what I'm saying? So he did knock his ass out. But let's bring this up, man. Stefan Struve's UFC record is really solid, man. 24 fights, the third most in heavyweight history. 11 finishes, second most in heavyweight history. 6 submissions, that's second most in heavyweight history. And 8 bonus, which is also tied for second most in heavyweight history. Stefan Struve was fun. Record of 33 wins, 13 losses. A lot of fun, man. Salute to the skyscraper. He had a couple heart issues throughout his career that made him take a couple big breaks throughout. But all in all, salute to that man. Brought us a lot of fun, a lot of great memories. And, he's like one of the good guys in the sport, man. So salute to that man. All right, guys. That is about all the time we have for morning coffee and fight news. Man, I was talking so much shit today, I didn't get a chance to sip any of my coffee. I'm definitely on that edible. Well, that being said, man, love you guys. Everybody who is watching today on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, I appreciate you guys. Like I said, we'll be back this week. We have some great interviews coming up this week. We have some announcements coming up soon for you guys. A lot of fun we've been working on. And this has been episode 267, Morning Coffee and Fight News of the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Serg Vicente. Make sure you listen to us everywhere podcasting is available. Apple, Google Play, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher. Check us out at thefightpodcast.com for all of your fight news and up-to-the-date stats, everything. Check us out at The Fight Podcast, at The Fight Podcast on IG. Bunch of dope-ass content and shit there, man. All right, guys. It is I, Serg Vicente, episode 267. Love y'all. Talk to you next time.